Hello everyone, welcome to IDPS. IDPS means I diagnose and profile solutions. My name is Olumayewa Victor Ogushola, and today I've got something very interesting for everyone who is business minded. So you're working in a business organization anywhere in the world, or you are a business student anywhere in the world. You don't even have to be a business student to want to know about inflation. So today I will be talking about inflation. If you come with me to the whiteboard, you will see what I will be talking about today. Okay, again, it's about inflation. So today I will tell us what it means, inflation. Today I will talk about what causes inflation. And today we will look at calculating inflation, the formula for calculating inflation. We'll look at that today. Also, we will look at the monetarist views and the Keynesian views for inflation. So this is what we are going to be talking about today. So let's go on by defining inflation. So what is inflation? From a layman's point of view, you would say that inflation is when the price of something goes up. So for example, if I would normally get my cup of coffee for, let's say, 50 cents, okay, of course I'm making that up. If I would get my cup of coffee for, say, 50 cents, and I get to the coffee shop and my cup of coffee has gone from 50 cents to 85 cents, there's been an inflation, okay? There's been a price increase. So that's inflation, but in definition, what is inflation? Inflation can be defined, okay? Inflation can be defined as a persistent increase in the general price level of goods and services over a period of time. Okay, I will repeat that definition for inflation. Inflation can be defined as a persistent increase. Persistent means, okay, something that is continual, okay? A continuous increase, a persistent increase in the general price level of goods or services. So it could be goods or services, and that's the definition for inflation, okay? Persistent increase in the general price level of goods and services over a period of time, okay? And that's inflation defined. What causes inflation? What could cause the persistent increase in the price level of goods or services? Two things could cause inflation, okay, according to economics. The first one could be cost push. Okay, so cost push, I give you an example. I gave you in that example that I used to buy my cup of coffee for 50 cents, but I got there this morning and my cup of coffee is 85 cents, okay? But this has happened because of cost push inflation, because the owner of the small coffee shop has got to pay the workers an increment of wages, because the two members of staff that work for this owner, one for morning shift and one for the afternoon shift, they had a meeting and they came together and they said to the owner, we are no more happy that you are paying us 6 euros per hour for working at your coffee shop. From now on, we want to start earning 6 euros 50 cents an hour. So there's been an increase in the wages the shop owner is going to be paying. Or it could be that the rent of this coffee shop has increased from 300 euros a month to 330 euros a month. Or it could be that the utility bills in terms of electricity has increased. So cost push inflation, in order for me to be able to meet the demands of paying the increased wages of my workers, or in the scenario of paying the increased utility bills, I have to add to the selling price of my cup of coffee, and then I have pushed that inflation to the customers. I hope that is clear. So because there's been an increase in wages, I can no longer sell my coffee for 50 cents, it has to go to 85 cents for every cup of coffee. Or because there's been an increase in utility or rent, I can no longer sell my cup of coffee for 50 cents. I have to increase the cost of my cup of coffee so that I can be able to meet the demands for increased utilities. And that is cost push inflation explained. The other type of cost for inflation would be demand pull inflation. And demand pull inflation simply occurs when demand is more than supply. In my shop, imagine that what I have is I just have 20 cups of coffee to sell. But I get to the door in the morning and I meet already 50 customers waiting to buy coffee, but I only have 20 coffee to sell. Then I would say to myself, oh my gosh, I've got 50 customers, but I've got 20. I bet I don't sell it for 50 cents. I bet I can take my price up and sell it for 70 cents because some of them will still wait. So if I sell it for 70 cents out of 50, maybe only 10 customers walk away, but we'll still have people to buy my 20 cups of coffee. And that is demand pull inflation. When demand is more than supply, it leads to inflation. So ladies and gentlemen, inflation is the persistent increase, okay, in the general price level of goods and services. Causes of inflation: cost push, because I have to pay an increment in wages or utilities, I push that to my customers by increasing the price of my goods or services. Okay, demand pull, because I notice that there are more customers or clients than what I have to supply. I put my price up because I know somebody will still pay for my goods or services. Now, talking about calculating inflation, mathematically, inflation can be calculated by saying mathematically, inflation can be calculated excuse me please, by saying current CPI, yeah, current CPI, that is your current price, minus your historical CPI, yeah, over your current CPI times 100. So usually inflation is calculated in percentages. Inflation is calculated in percentages. And from country to country, the normal rate for a normal inflation rate would be 2%. Okay, so normal inflation rate would be 2%. If it's more than that, then if it's more than that or below that, then there might be a problem. But normal rate would be 2%. So lastly, what are the different views of inflation that we have? Okay, we have the monetarist views. And the monetarist views is about the way we control money in the economy. They believe that when there is too much money in circulation, then this can lead to inflation. Monetarist views for inflation. Also, we have the Keynesian views, okay? And the Keynesian views is more about the demand side economics, okay? And they believe that the economy is best controlled by manipulating demand of goods and services. So, ladies and gentlemen, I've just presented to you the topic inflation. You now know what is inflation. You know the two different causes of inflation. You know how to calculate your inflation mathematically. We know that this is the accepted rate of inflation in countries around the world, and we know what the monetarists say about inflation and what the Keynesians say about inflation. Thank you very much. That was the topic on inflation. Please, if you have any feedback for us, you can send us an email at info@idpsconsults.com. You know that we love to hear from you. We love to hear from you because we love to serve you better. Please send us an email so that we can serve you better. You know that I will not go until I talk about my passion, and my passion is to see Africa develop. Africa must develop. So are you an African anywhere in the world? Keep doing everything to promote African unity and keep doing everything to facilitate the development of the African continent. Africa must develop. In English language, I like to say thank you very much. In Dutch language, I like to say thank you all. In Yoruba language from Nigeria, West Africa, I say Esheo. Bye.